Hello guys, in this tutorial we're gonna be making a movies app that looks like this. So we're gonna have popular movies, we're gonna have all movies where we can actually go to next and previous page. So we're gonna have that pagination here, and we're also gonna be able to search for the movies. As you can see, we can remove that so it goes back to the first page, and then we're also gonna make it responsive, as you can see here. This is how it's gonna look on mobile. And on bigger screens we're going to be showing 2, 3 movies and then up to 5. And we're also going to have a burger menu here, so we can switch between the sections again. And that's going to be the projects we're going to work on. Few things to note. The first thing, you want to go to this website, so the moviedatabase.org. You need to create an account here. I already have mine, so I'm just going to log in. Just made one right now. After that's done, you want to go to Settings, API. It's going to say to generate a new API key, click here, pick developer, I'm going to scroll down, accept. And then I'm going to skip this thing completely, but you guys want to pick a website here. You want to confirm all of these that they ask you, so application name, URL. You can literally put your GitHub URL or something, doesn't really matter what it is. You can put random GitHub here, application somewhere, just type anything about your app, and then this thing. So I'm gonna skip that in a video, but you guys need to complete all of that, and I'll do it as well right now. Okay, so once that's done, you need a bit of description. I just wrote I need this for a movie app that I'm gonna use for practicing. And then we're gonna come up on this page, and it's gonna say API key here. So that's the thing we're gonna be needing. So I have my app open here, and one thing I'm gonna be installing, so I need to mention this is completely optional. This is what I'm gonna be using for styles. It's called Emotion. So it's nothing like Bootstrap or Tailwind where you have your classes. We are gonna write our own CSS. This is just gonna allow us to have CSS in our components. Let's install that here. So yeah, this is just going to allow us to have our styles in our components or in our component file here. But you guys can use anything like normal CSS, Sass. You can use Bootstrap, Tailwind, whatever you guys like. So like I said, this is optional. I'm going to install that. We close this. And we can start our project. Also, all the links that you guys need for both Emotion and other links we're going to be using, I'm going to have everything in description. So the first thing we're going to grab is this, which is Font Awesome, so because we're going to have a few icons. So let's open our public index HTML. I want to remove all these comments. Put that under the title. Oh, let me see, we need some space here, so this should be like that. Okay, that was our issue, and then we want to go to Google Fonts, search for our font. So this is what we're going to be using. Gonna get extra light 300, regular 4, semi-bold 600, bold, extra bold, and black. So we want to go to embed, copy this link, and we want to paste that under here. And we can also give a title here, so like movie app. So that's our index file done. The next step is removing the unnecessary files we're not going to be using. So if we go here, setup test, we can remove that. Service worker, remove it. Logo, remove it as well. Index CSS, remove that. App test, remove. Then in index.js we can remove line 13 to 18. And also want to remove line 5 and line 3. That's fine. Then we can go to our app. I remove the logo. I like changing this to arrow function. You don't need to, but that's what I do. And then we're gonna remove everything from app. I'm just gonna add a simple H1 so we can see it. Then in app CSS, we wanna remove everything from here. And I'm just gonna add a few basic styles for every element on the page. So that's all the CSS files. And another thing I'm going to be using, which is also optional, I'm going to be using something for snippets. There are plenty of React snippets or JavaScript snippets extensions you can look for. I'm going to be using mine. So if you want to follow along completely, this is the extension I'm going to be using, and this is mostly going to be for like components, stuff like that, states. It's going to be faster to type. So if you want to follow along, you can install that or any other React snippet out there. If you don't, that's completely fine. So inside the source, we can add a folder called components. And inside of that, we want to have a folder called reusable components. And here we're going to have a container. This is the one thing we're going to be using throughout the whole app. And another thing is going to be our loader. So let's start with that. Like I said, I'm going to be using snippets so we don't make this tutorial 2 hours long. So for container, I can just type emo here. So this is going to give me my emotion template that I need. These are the two lines. If you're using emotion for styling, these are lines you need to include in every file, verify your styles. And also I can remove this line since I have snippet for the container as well, since I use it a lot. So I'm not going to be going over styles too much. Just going to write that down. I'm mostly going to go over functions to the app. This is just the line you need where you're going to type your CSS, and Emotion allows you to nest your elements like in Sass. It doesn't have functionality of Sass, but you can nest elements, which makes it perfect for me. So that's going to be our container, which is done. Then we need to make the loader. And we want to remove this. So this right here, CSS styles, this is only if you use Emotion. If you don't, you can write your separate styles anywhere else. So this is not going to change anything. These are just for styles. So this is the line we're gonna need, so we can just copy that instead. And then we're gonna have one more style for the after here. I don't know why it keeps adding another minus here. I'm not typing it out. And then here we're gonna have our keyframes. We're gonna copy the same line here, but we're gonna add minus 30. And the last one should be 40, like it is. So that's done. So now we can actually start making our sections, because these are components we're gonna be reusing everywhere. So the first thing we want to make is our hero section, which is the first one we're looking at here. So we want to make a folder inside components. We're going to call that hero, and then inside of that we want to have hero. I'm going to replace this div with section. And again, I'm just adding this h1 just so it doesn't format badly. We don't have anything, it's gonna format weird. That's why we have this for now. So let's add styles. And then the thing we need to do, we need to import that hero inside our app. So let's do that so we can see it here. And we're also going to be adding context. That's the thing we're going to be using for sending states later on. Once we start making this, right now I'm going to finish making components. If you guys don't want that, you can just pass the components, or pass the props rather. So another thing we're going to need is going to be hero nav, which is going to be our navigation here. So let's make that. So we're going to have a nav here. We're also going to need to use our container. So let's import our container we have. Then we're going to need to make few other things because inside of this we're going to have a menu, we're going to have a logo, and we're going to have a search. So we need to make all of those as well. So let's just close that for now, we don't need that. So the components we're going to need First one is gonna be hero nav link. And then after that, we're gonna have hero nav logo. We're gonna have a hero nav menu and search. Like that. So let's see. We were inside a hero nav. So the next thing is we have is hero nav link. So let's go there. Create a link. And here we're gonna have a button. And the styles, let's add that as well here. I'm also going to be adding media queries straight away in all of these, so we don't need to mess with that later on. This one only has one. So something like that. And then inside our hero nav, let's see, let's make a hero nav logo. That's the thing we're missing as well. So for this, let's use the same email. And we're only gonna have one div here. So we can close that completely because that's going to be our complete logo here. And then we have hero nav menu and search. So we can start fixing that. Want to add a class name here. And then inside of here, we want to import the links we made before, if you remember. So here on our link, we want to import it here twice. Like that. And also inside the hero, we can import hero nav here so we can see how it looks like for now. We didn't add any text, that's why we can't see it yet. But inside here, so we added links inside our menu, and we can add a prop to these links. But before that, I want to add styles to our actual menu. So we're gonna do that first. It's easier of adding them now than later on, so we're just going to do that. So this only has one style, but it has media query because it's going to look different on mobile completely, so I'm going to add all of those. That's my bad. Okay, just padding. Then we're gonna need a few more styles. So we don't have this hidden class yet. We're gonna have that later on. Just gonna go here as well. But for our hero nav link, we wanna add a prop, which is gonna be called button text. So the first one is gonna be popular, and the second one is gonna be old movies. So we can grab that button text prop now, go back to hero nav link, and we can destructure it here, and then display it inside our button. So that's our hero nav link. So our menu, we still can't see it, but if we go back to our hero nav now, we made few components. So let's go back to our hero nav, and the first thing we're gonna use here is we're gonna make a div. It's called wrapper, and then we're gonna need to import a few things here. So the first one is gonna be logo. And the second thing is gonna be our menu. Like that, and then we're gonna place both of them inside our div with the class name of wrapper, so hero nav logo and hero nav menu. So this is what we have for now. Then here we're gonna have a search as well, so we're gonna need to create that first. So let's go to hero nav search. And here we want to have a form inside of this, so we're going to remove this. And inside our form, we only want to have a single input, and this is going to be for us searching the movie. So for now, it can be type text, and we're only going to add a placeholder. And then I also want to remove the action from the form, and I want to add some styles. So these are going to be our form styles here. And then here we want to add one media query. So that's our hero nav search. And then if we go back to our, where was it? Hero nav. So we want to add hero nav search. So under the wrapper, but still inside the container, we want to add that thing we just made. So there's our search here. And under the search, we want to add an icon. So that's going to be for our burger menu. And that's also going to be hidden at the beginning. But for now, that's going to be there. And let's add styles to the nav. So it looks like that for now. And then here, let's see, inside the container, we're gonna have, so after the wrapper, we're gonna have our burger menu. So I forgot to add that. So that's gonna be ID here on our icon. And we wanna target that here. So we want to set this to display none right now. This is only supposed to be showing on mobile. And then here we want to add a few media queries. So display block just to show it, and then another media query here. So I'll show you how that works right now. As you can see, we still need some fixing to do, but that's kind of how it's going to look like. So as you can see, we're going to need to make a state for toggling our menu. So in that case, we want to have our context, like I mentioned earlier. So before our components, not inside of it, inside the source, I'm going to create a new folder called context, context. And then inside of that, I'm going to create a file called movie context. And then I also have a snippet if you guys are following along and using my snippets. If not, you can just write everything out. Snippet is just context, and then we have a whole file. So the first thing is going to be movie context. The next thing is going to be movie state. And right now we don't have any values, as you can see, but we definitely want to make something to toggle our menu first. So let's call that hidden menu. So we're going to make a state here. We want to set that to true. And here inside the value, we're going to send those props so we can use them in other components. So the first thing we need to do inside our app, let's open our app. So we need to import that movie state here. And we need to wrap our whole app with it, but because our app doesn't have any styles, we can remove this div and just put our movie state here. And the only thing inside of that is going to be hero, and we can remove this class name of app. So that's going to allow us to send props. Once we did that, our app is done. We're not going to be opening that file again. So let's see, where were we right now? Let's go back to our hero nav, where we have our icon. This is the place where we want to use that state we made, which is hidden menu, and set hidden menu. So we need to import use context from React in every file where we're going to use the states or get the states and functions. And the other thing is we need to import this movie context. If you're not sure how React context works, I made a tutorial on that you can check out. And then here we're just going to grab the values. And now we're able to use this state we just made. So we're going to add a on-click event here to the icon. We're going to call that function, which we call set hidden menu, and we want to toggle it here. So we can do exclamation mark hidden menu. So that's just going to toggle it. If it's true, it's going to be false once we click. If it's called false, it's going to be true. And for the class name, we also want to make sure, if I make this smaller, so this is going to allow us to toggle the icon. But our actual class name here, we want to show different name, not name, different icon depending on once we click. So I'm going to remove this, and I'm going to have a if else statement inside of this. So we're going to have if hidden menu is true here, we're going to display that icon we had. And if it's not, we want to display the X icon. Like that. So that part there is done. And then inside the hero nav link, let me find that. We want to get the same thing. Because this is going to work for mobile only, and once we click on the link, we also want to close the menu as I showed you earlier. So we're going to need that. Let's do it here. here. So that's the thing we're gonna need here. And I also wanna make sure that we somehow keep track of the active link. So we're gonna make a state to keep track of that. So if we go back to our movie context, we can make another state here. And we wanna set that to popular. This is gonna make it easier to change the active style of this and change the active style of this later. So we want to send those props here first. So inside our here on nav link, we want to get these, both of them, active link and set active link. And then we're going to have few things. So firstly on button, we're going to have on click event. So every time we click one of these links, we want to set the active link to this prop we made, which is button text. And our button text, I'll show you what that is. So if we go back here, our button text is just a string which has popular and all movies. And we also made a state that's set to popular. So we're going to be checking based on that. So that's active at beginning because our popular is there. But then once we click the button or the other one, we wanna set it to button text. So the button text could be either popular or all movies, and that's gonna match to our state. And the other thing, we wanna set the hidden menu here to true. So that's gonna close our menu once we click on a link. And now we can add active styles here. So for example, let's make this a bit more readable. So maybe after the styles here, hit enter. We want to add something else. I'm going to move this in the next row so you guys can see what it is. So we're going to have if check here to see which one we clicked on. So for example, if this active link here, let's do color first, because we want to change the color of active link. So we want to check if active link, which is our state that's set to popular, if that is equal to our button text, and button text is either popular or all movies. So if those are equal, we want to set a different color here to make it active. Otherwise, you want to set it to white. So that's how that looks right now. So if we click all movies, that's active. If we click popular movies, that becomes active. So here on AvLink component is completely finished. We're not going to be needing that. So let's see if we missed something else here. Here on Av menu. So this is only going to have links, as you see here. And also we want to display this menu. If you remember earlier, we made a hidden class. And now once we made that state, which we called hidden menu, we can check for that and either display the menu for mobile or hide it. So that's what we're going to do next. So inside our here on our menu, we want to import use context again. And then here we're going to destructure, and we're only going to get a hidden menu state. And then here, instead of adding this class right now, we're still going to have it, but I'm going to cut it out from here, so class name. So we're going to have if statement here again. We're going to have if hidden menu is true, we want to add a class of hidden. else, we don't want anything, and then after parentheses we want to add plus, and then here we make sure to add space so it doesn't add, because here we're going to have our class, our original class, that's always going to be there. So if you don't have class here, it's going to look like hidden and here on our menu are the same class. It's going to look like this. It's going to think this is one class instead of two, so make sure you have space here. Okay, so we added that. That's our Hero Nav menu done completely. So that's done. If we go to Hero Nav, let's see what we have here. This seems good. We're not going to be needing anything else here, so we can close that as well. And I'm not sure if we should create. I feel like we should create something. Let's go with APIs first, and then we're going to make components and output them. These are just the basic stuff, so we have everything set up for us. And we're already 45 minutes in, which is great. So let's go back here, copy this key, and then inside our context, we're going to make, let's do it on the top, I guess. We're going to make a const. And we're just going to paste that key we just got. So let's say we want to get the popular movies first, because that's the first thing we're going to be showing. So we're going to make a function. And let me copy this link for 1 second, just so we guys don't need to search for it. Let's make a const here. So something like this, but we also need to make this function async before. And then here, where it says API key equals, we want to add curly braces, and then we want to add our API key we made. Just make sure you have template literals here before, so you can add stuff like this. So once we get that, we're going to make another const here for variable. And we're going to await this first. So popular movies response.json. And here we need to set that data we got to our state, which we didn't create yet. So we're going to create a state that's going to be called, like, let's say popular movies, and set popular movies. And we're going to set that to array. And then here, once we get the data, we're going to set our popular movies state we made to this popular movies data. Oh, that's going to make sure we have that. We're not outputting that yet anywhere, but that's the thing we're going to need. And then let's see. We also want to run this when the page loads. So if we go here, we want to import use effect. And I'm going to be adding use effects here at the bottom. And this should run when the page loads. So this function we just made that calls the API. So that's going to give us our popular movies, or the first page. And for now, let's see where we want to display that. We're going to make an output, I guess, how would you call it, component here. So inside components, we want to create an output. And then inside that folder, we want to create a file. And what this output component is going to be, that's going to be here. Because we're not using React Router, we want to show the output component all the time. But if we're on popular pages, we want to show popular movies. If we're on all movies, we want to show something else. But we're going to use one component to display both of them. So that's the thing we're going to need. And we also, before we forget, since we're not going to be needing anything else in Hero, that should be here under our Hero nav. So I want to import that. And just render it here under the Hero nav. And then we can close the Hero completely. So our output, let's start by, let's see. Here we're gonna call like movies, page or section, however you're gonna call it, which is gonna be here when we click on movies. And here we're gonna have a section that's gonna be called popular. So right now, we don't really need to add anything inside the output because we didn't make those two sections yet. So the first one, obviously we're gonna need is the popular movies. So let's go here, make a new folder. So popular, and then so this is the place where we're gonna display that popular movies, or that API key we called. And to get that data, as you can see, we are setting that popular movies, or setting the movies we got from the API to this state called set popular movies. So we want to send this state here, so popular movies, and then here we can access that easily. So the first thing, again, we need to use context. And then let's add a class name to this. And inside of that, if you remember earlier, we made a reusable component called container, so we want to import that as well. So that's the first thing that's going to go here. And then this is the place where we're gonna map. So inside this container is a place where we're gonna map, but we first need to get that state we need for all the movies or popular movies. So let's go back here, let's destructure it. And now we have access to those popular movies. We're calling an API so we can display them on this page. And since that is going to be an array, we're going to need to map. But before that, let's do popular movies dot results, because that is how we can get them. So we want to check if that exists first, and then we're going to add end. We're going to do popular movies dot results again. And here, this is the place where we want to map. And then let's say popular movie item, and inside of that we want to return an image. And as usual, I always forget to add an index here, so we want to add parentheses here and here, and then add comma index. That's the thing we're going to be using for key. Alt is just going to be like poster, and then for our source here, I actually need to grab a link I have saved. So inside the source, you want to add template literals, and you want to paste this link. This is going to allow us to actually display the pictures. I'm not sure why it doesn't work without this, but it doesn't. So we're going to need that link. And then inside of here, we want to use that popular movies, because we're mapping over that. And it's going to be .poster _ path, like that. And that's what we're going to have inside this section. I just want to add some styles again, so we don't mess with that later, because everything is going to be responsive. The reason why we don't see these movies yet is because we didn't add them to our output component, and we're going to do that in a second, so I'll just fix some styles first. And then inside of this, we want to have that, we don't want to show the scroll bar, but this is going to be scrollable. Okay, that messed up completely. So we don't need this. So something like that. And width 0 is just going to make our scroll bar be hidden, nothing else. So under the child 1, so it ends here, we want to have our image. So the first one is going to be for mobile, because we want it full size, or full width rather. So we can copy this. Then let's make some space here. So the next media query is going to be, instead of max, it's going to be min width 601 and max width 854, and here we just want to make this 48%. We want to remove the height and make the picture max width 48%. So it's usually we're just going to be with messing up with picture. Under that we're going to have another one. Then min width is going to be 855 and max width is going to be 1144, and our image is going to be 31% here for the max width. And we can copy that one more last time here. So min width is going to be 1145 and this is going to be 1365 here. And our max width is going to be 23.4%. Yeah, that's our popular page. So if we go back to, let's see where that is, so output. So inside our output, since we have, if you guys remember, active link here, which is the state, and once we click on all movies, it changes this state to active movies. So we want to get that state here. Because based on that state, we're going to be rendering different components. In our case, we only have popular now, but we're only going to render that popular component once we're on this link. If we click all movies, we want to render something completely different. So something like that. Then we're gonna add a class name. And also, before I forget, we're gonna be needing our container. So that's the first thing we're gonna need. And the other thing is this popular page we just made. Like that. And right now, let's see here, we want to have if check, so if active link, which we still didn't get for some reason. So active link, we're sending that here. So let's get it here. So here we want to check for that active link. So if this is equal to, let's say, in our case, if it's all movies, because this is the second one and one is popular. So first we can check for popular. So if that's popular, we can end here. And if it is, we want to render our container first. And inside of that, we want to render our popular page we made. So there we go, we have the movies. We need to fix some styles first, but then we're gonna have one more of these that's gonna check if active is equal to this, which is all movies, and we're gonna render something completely different. But for now, let's just add styles for this. So we're not gonna have a lot of styles here, we're gonna have a few. So this is because we have a nav which is 80 pixels in height, so we want to add a calc here to decrease that. And then we're going to have one media query. So these are all the styles, as you can see. So right now, this is how it looks like. So these are all the movies. And if we call movies, it doesn't have anything right now. We didn't make that page, but if we click on popular movies, it's showing that. And the reason being is here, we're checking if active link is equal to popular, which it is in this case. And then we render that popular component. And if you're curious how this works, I also have a tutorial on that on my channel. So if we go here, this is how that looks. So we have a lot of things working right now, but there are plenty more to be added. So the other thing we're gonna be needing is all movies, because we didn't make that, right? But before we do, there's one thing we need to do as well, which is we need to call a different API. And that needs to happen inside all movies when we search for the movie, I guess. It needs to call a different API. So we need a few things here. If we go back to our movie context. So the first thing is as you see here, we have an input and we have a form. And we want to make it so once we submit the form, we have the data from our input, so whatever we type, and we want to output it on the page. So the first step there is to create a state for input, which we're going to call search. That should be an empty string, and before we forget, let's send that to our value. So that's the first thing. The second thing we're going to be needing is, how do we call it? We need a function to call when we submit the form to search for that. So I guess we can call that like, I don't know, handle search or something. So let's make that here. Handle search is fine, but we also need, how do I explain this? We need to get the movies first, like we get them here, but we need to use a different API. So we're going to have two functions. So let's call this get movies, and that's going to be async. And then we're going to have response. So this is going to be the thing we're going to need. So this is a bit of different API, because here, as you can see, API key equals, we want to have our API key again. But then at the end, we're going to have our pages, so we can have pagination here. So we want to get the first page. But in order to do that, we also want to make a state that we can change later once we click on the button. So we're going to call that current page. And we're going to set that to 1. And let's make sure we're sending those here. So after this, where it says, let me see, where it says page equals here, we want to add that current page state we made. And that's first page by default because we set it to 1. But later on, once we add buttons here, we want to be able to click on the next button so it goes to page 2 and this number changes. That's why we made a state for that. Then we're going to have a data here. Gonna wait for response. And then here, like we did previously, we set the popular movies to that data. Now we need another state which is going to be all movies or just movies, however you want to call it. So let's call it movies here. We're going to do the same thing, just set this to empty array. Want to make sure we're sending these here. And then once we get the movies here under the data, we want to set the movies to that data. But we also want to check for our input if it's empty or not. And we already have a state for that, which we called search. And we want to set the movies to that data. And we're doing it this way because they don't have a great option that I found. So once you remove everything, I also want to set the movies to data so it shows the first page. If we didn't have that, it wouldn't work. Like if you search for a movie and remove everything from here, you wouldn't get any output. That's why we have this if statement here. So that's that. Let's see what else do we need here. So we want to have a use effect under this. And for now, there's gonna be a bit more things here, but for now we wanna call get movies here, and that should happen each time our search and current page changes. So in both of those cases, we're gonna call get movies. So the next step is, let's see, we need a function that we're gonna call once we submit the form here. So under the get movies, we're gonna call this handle search. Make that an async function. And the first thing we need to do is pass event here. And we need to prevent the default behavior of the form or refreshing the page. Then we're gonna have a simple if statement here. So if input is empty, we just want to return and exit out of the function. And then under this, we're going to make a variable. And then I'll need to get the API again. So if you guys can see it, we have the API key here. Then here for our query, we're adding the search, which is going to be our input value, and the page is going to be current page. So these APIs are not exactly, they're the same, but we have more stuff in here. So we needed to make another API, different API call. So after that's done here, under search response, we want to make another variable, search data, let's say. And that's going to be a wait. Search response.json. And then at the end, we can just set our movies state we made to that search data. So we can just copy paste this in. Like that. We still didn't add a previous page and button for the next page, so we're gonna do that in a second. There's plenty more things to be added. But here we need to make that movies page first. So let's go here. And we're gonna create a page called, or folder called movies first. So let me see, new folder. And inside of that, we're going to have movies.js. And we're also going to have movies pagination, which are going to be the buttons at the bottom. So like this. So the first thing, definitely here is the place where we're going to output all the movies or our state. So we're going to need to import context. And we're also going to be needing our container. Something like that, and we also want to add a class name here of movies. And here we're just going to add a container. So the thing we need to get here is movies state we have here. We go back. And also let's make sure we send all these functions we made so we can use them. So first one is get popular movies. We want to add that here. Add a comma. The next one is get movies, in case we need to use them anywhere. And the last one is handle search. So let's go back to our movies, and here we want to get that movie state. And then once we have that state with all the movies, we wanna display them here. But we will need a loader, which we created. We just don't have a state for it yet. But the loader is another thing we're gonna need. But before that, here we can just output an error in case we search for something that doesn't exist, for example. So we can do movies. So movies.results that exists, and here. And we can also check for a length, if that is equal to 0. And if it is, we want to render like a simple h1 here. We're going to add a class name of error. And let's just say result not found. So something like that. And the other thing we need is to make the loading state for our loader that we're gonna display. Because if we don't have the movies, we wanna display the loader for a few seconds and then show that. So if we go back to our, let's say, movie context, we're gonna need another state here. So let's just call it, let's put it on the top, doesn't matter. So is loading and set is loading. And we're gonna set that to false at beginning. Like that. And then the thing we wanna do, let me see what that is at all. Let's create another one. So one more user track. So I originally have it so it shows for like 1.3 seconds all the time. So we're gonna do that here. We're gonna create a timeout that's gonna display that loader for 1.3 seconds and then remove it. And that's gonna happen each time our movies changes or our current page. So if you click on next page, we're gonna see the loader. And here we wanna add that timeout we need. So let's just make a variable. Loading timeout, we want to set that to set timeout. Making it in a variable just so we can clear that later on. And we're going to set that to 1300. And inside of that, we want to set is loading to false. So after 13 or 1.3 seconds, because once we click, we're showing the loader, and after 1.3 seconds, we want to remove the loader here. So this is where we're going to remove it. And here we want to return empty arrow function, and inside of that, we want to clear that timeout. And then the name, how we called it, or the variable we made, which is loading timeout. So this using practice is just gonna make sure to clear the loading screen after 1.3 seconds all the time. That's all it's gonna do. Did we send that anywhere? We didn't. So we need to grab that. Send it here as value. And then if we go back to, did we call it movies? Yeah. So now we can add that is loading. And then under this check, we can add another check here. And we can say if is loading is true. Let's see, what do we wanna do if is loading is true? We wanna map, so we wanna get movies.result. Again, we wanna check for that first, if it's there. And after that, we wanna map. an index, and let's return that. So here we wanna return the image again, like on the last example. And then alt is just gonna be, I guess, poster. We need a key. Just gonna be index. And for the source, again, I'm gonna grab this. Add template literals, then paste this. And then at the end, we wanna add our movie item. That's how we called it. Dot poster underscore path. So that works fine, as you can see here. So here, wanna add else, and inside that else, what do we wanna return? We wanna return that loader we made. So let's import that. Something like this. And have we added styles yet? We haven't. So we're gonna add a few styles as well here. So let's add styles to this. And I'm pretty sure the styles are similar to our popular. So let's just copy all of these. Go to movies. And then let's see what we need to remove here. So width is gonna be 100, then this is gonna be child 1. Here. Height is gonna be 68. This is the same. Then under the scroll bar here, we're gonna have that error H1 we made. Okay, then the image is gonna be exactly the same. Then let's see max width. This is the same, 48%. So all of these are exactly the same. We don't need to change anything else here. I'm pretty sure it was output. So here, yeah, you see we're displaying popular movies here. But now we can check for the other thing. So if active link is equal to all movies, which is again this, you can add and here. And inside of that, we want to render a container. Inside that container, we're going to have our movies. So let's import that. This is the page we were just making. Which looks like this. So we're gonna need to fix this as well. But then there are those are our movies that are gonna render there once we click all movies. And then another thing we're gonna need here is what we're gonna make. So that's gonna be for our movies pagination. And this is just gonna be for our buttons. So we're gonna have buttons for like previews and next. So let's import our container. And we also need to import use context from React. So we need the state to see on which page we're on, because on the popular movies page, we don't want to display this, the buttons, but if we're on this all movies page, we want to display them. So we're gonna make a state for that as well. And we want to set that to true. So let's just make sure we're sending that before we forget. Like that. And here we're actually, let me see. So once we submit the form, we are not displaying that anymore. So our function handle search, at the end, we want to set show pagination, which is true at the beginning. We want to set it to false, because we're not going to be displaying it here. And then let's find our use effect. So this one where we get all movies. We want to set it to true here. So we're going to add an if statement. And let's see, what else are we gonna need here? Because I'm pretty sure we're sending everything. The last thing we're gonna need is the function where we're gonna move from the previous to the next page, but let's not do that yet. So let's go back to our movies and let's just movies pagination. Okay, then let's add a class name. So inside of this, we want to check if show pagination is true first. So let's add an if check. So if show pagination, we can do and. That's going to make sure it's true. And if it is, inside of this, we want to return a React fragment or a div, whatever you guys want. This is just a replacement for that, but we need to import it here. And then inside that React fragment here, actually I forgot to add, so container before that. Maybe we won't even be needing React fragment. Let's see. So let me see, let's remove that. Actually, I don't think we're gonna be needing that. We're gonna have two buttons. And the first one is just gonna be, how do you call it, previous page. And the next one is just gonna be next page. Let's remove this because we don't need to use that fragment anymore. And then the thing we're gonna need is we're gonna make a function for both of these that we're gonna call onClick, and we're gonna call it new page. And then for our previous page button, we wanna pass a string here that's gonna be previous. For our new page or next button, we want to pass a string that's going to be next. And then let's go back, we need to make that new page function here. So let's go under this and let's make that new page. And this function is going to take in the direction. And here we can check for it because we passed that in. If I go back we passed previous and next. So we can check. So if direction is equal to next, we want to set our current page state to. So we're going to pass a function that gets the previous state, which we're going to call previous current, and then here previous current plus 1. And we want to set this loading to true. And then here we're going to have else if our direction is equal to previous, because that's how we call it here, previous, yeah. And we also want to check if current page is not equal to 1, so if we're not on the first page. And here we want to do the same thing, but instead of plus 1, we want to do minus 1 here. And let's make sure we're sending that new page here, so we can use it on button click. And then here we need to import that, so new page. So that's done for that part. And we also want to make sure we're going to need few styles. So let's add those. So if we go here. So I'm just gonna copy the styles because I feel like we're so long into this tutorial. So we have a width of 100%, then we have container here, some styles for that, and some styles for the buttons we're gonna use. So once that's done, I wanna add a style here to this, let's say, to this first button, because this is gonna be a bit different. So let's add some space. So I want to check, because I have cursor that's either pointer or something else, or like not allowed when you can't click on it, so we're going to check for that. So we can check for our current page first. So if our current page here is not equal to 1, we can add pointer, else we can add not allowed. And then we can add a comma here, and let's go to a new line. And we can also check for background. So if current page is not equal to 1, we're going to have a green background. If it is, we're going to have some type of gray background. So not equal to 1 is true, we want to have this, else we want to have something different. 3, 0, so that. And I also, one thing I don't know how I forgot to do, but this section is done for now. So noise pagination, we won't be needing anything else here. But the thing I completely forgot is the hero nav search. Because if you remember, we made a state for the search that's going to go on that input, and we also made let me see, a function which is called handle search, which should go on the form. So if you go back to hero nav search here, we need to import use context. So now we have access to that. So we need to import a few things here. The first one is search and set search, which is the state for our input. Then we have the function. I don't know how we called it again. We need to go back. So handle search. So that's the other thing we're gonna need. So let's go back to this. And we're also going to have active link. So first thing we need to do is this is handle search function we made here that we're gonna call once we submit the form. So on submit event on the form, you wanna call that function. The next thing for our input value, we're gonna add that search state we made. And then we're gonna have onChange event to our input. And we want to use that function to update our state, which is setSearch. And then here we can pass E. And we're gonna set our state to whatever we type. And the last thing, the reason why we imported active link here is because we're not going to be displaying this if the active link is popular. Only when we click all the movies, we want to be able to search for them. That's why active link is here. And then we can make an if statement here. So if active link is not equal to popular, you can add end, and then inside of that, we want to render this input. So as you can see right now, our input is not showing, but if we click on all movies, it's there. And we'll need to figure out that bug with the loader that shouldn't be there right now. So let me see, if we go back to, how did we call it? So nav, zero nav search, that's completely done here. We're not going to be needing anything else. Styles are done. So I'm pretty sure it's output. Let me see. What do we have inside the output? Yeah. So inside the output, where we display movies, we want to add another div here. Or we want to import movies pagination we made. And we want to display that under our movies, because these are two buttons we added. So we can see them here. I still have a bit of issue with this loader, which we're going to need to figure out. Other than that, our output should be good to go, I think. Then we added the styles, added everything here, so we can close the output. So let's see what else is causing the issue that I forgot to add probably. So let's see, movies pagination. This is what we finished, so we don't need anything there. So my mistake here, we have if is loading is true, we are mapping and showing the component, and I completely forgot I set it to false here. So we need to change that here. So we need to set that to false. If loading is false, we want to show them. And once we click the button, let me find that here so I can show you. So once we click new page, we're setting is loading to true. So if we click next page, that's what we get. If we click previous page, there's nothing. And if we search for something, we got our movie. We remove everything, that goes back to default. Go to popular page, we have 20 movies here. All movies. Then if we search for something random, that's result not found. Let's remove everything. Make sure everything works and we didn't forget anything. So let's make this smaller as well. Let's test if these work. So popular, all movies. Let's check if everything's responsive as it should be. It is. Then this is showing and the buttons are showing on all movies. If we click back on popular, there's nothing else showing here. So we don't have buttons or the search, but once we click all movies, we have everything. Let's try going to the next page multiple times. Again, we have 20 movies. Next page again. Have new movies. We can go back. Now this is not clickable anymore. That's why we added that custom styling. And I think that's gonna be it for this tutorial. It's been, I think, almost 2 hours, but I hope you guys learned something new. Thank you everyone who watched this until the end, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace out.